Welcome to the newest episode of Herbie Sports Talk. Thank you guys for joining in. I am Tyler, Big Herbie Herbach. Across the table is,
As always,
hey, I switched it up a little bit. Right? Don't worry about it.
Travis Lil Herbie Herbach. Yes.
Nailed it. Anyways,
All
all right, guys, we have a fun episode for you today. We're gonna jump into the NBA. Playoffs are right around the corner. Plus, we have some good boxing news to go over. Big fight this last weekend.
Yep.
Some entertaining fights coming up. So we're gonna jump into all those. But we're gonna start in the NBA.
Just do it.
So, like I said, the playoffs are around the corner. The play-in tournament starts May 18th. That's 9 days from now.
Yep.
It's right there. There's only about 4 games left for every team in the NBA. The season's really scrunched down. Right now, what we want to actually focus on that play-in tournament because that's where kind of the major shifts are going to happen right now.
Right.
So let me run through the East real quick. Not much is going to actually change here. You have Boston at 7, Charlotte at 8, Washington at 9, and Indiana at 10. Chicago's 3 games back in the 11th spot from Indiana, so they had no chance of getting in there. They're pretty much set. There's a slight chance Boston can get out of the play-in by taking over Miami. The issue is Miami's 2 games up with the tiebreaker, and there's only 4 games to go. So it would need to be, Celtics win out, and the Heat would have to lose 3 or 4.
3 or 4, which we don't see happening. Also, they have the 2-game lead because literally just this morning on Sunday, the Heat beat the Celtics to get this 2-game lead. So if Celtics would have won that game, they actually would have jumped. They would have flopped places at 6 and 7 seed.
Mm-hmm.
So having lost that and you got 2-game lead now as the Heat, I think you're probably feeling pretty safe.
Yeah, I would think so.
I'd say you're pretty safe. It'd be really hard. Celtics could easily win out, but it's gonna be hard for the Heat, I think, to go 2-2 over the Final 4.
And even with it having a tiebreaker, they'd have to go 1-3.
They have to go 1-3, right?
For that to even work.
Yeah, we're gonna basically call that good at 6 and 7.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, they actually play each other one more time, so it gives them a little bit of a chance.
You're right.
Yeah, so Boston and Miami actually play each other again this Tuesday. That'll be huge. Plus, I didn't look at the schedule just now. Miami's last 4 games, they have obviously already Boston. They have Philly and Milwaukee. They have Philadelphia and Milwaukee left on the schedule for the end in Detroit. So Detroit's the easy win, but Boston, Philly, and Milwaukee.
I don't know. They could go 1-3. None of those teams are an easy go around. Not even close.
No, they're really not.
Top echelon teams right there.
Yeah, so obviously then the Celtics, they're going to be also playing the Heat, and their final 3 games after that are Cleveland, Minnesota, and New York. So there is a chance.
Yeah, New York's going to be a tough one. New York's a crazy solid team. They're super slept on.
Right, but the Knicks, they're in the playoffs. They're I think the 4th seed right now.
But they're going to be a dangerous team. That team could be an easy team.
They play hard. They play really hard.
They're sneaky. That team might really mess up these playoffs. Like, you're talking a team that's going to go in randomly into the East Conference Finals and just throw out the teams that you would never expect. Right. That Knicks team is a team that could easily do it.
They could. So, and not saying that, but that means that Boston could go 3-1 in this.
And they pull a game back on the Heat. It's possible. It's hard. It's going to be damn near hard. But it's possible. There's a possibility. I'm more interested in the 8, 9, and 10 seeds.
Okay.
And their kind of matchups. I'm curious to see what it's this. What the 7 and 10? Let's keep it the 7 as the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
You said 10 to Indiana, correct?
Correct.
So we're doing 7 and 10 play each other here.
No.
Or this is the plan of the tournament.
Yeah, the plan tournament. So 7, 8 play each other, and 9, 10 play each other, and then the winners play each other, and then the losers play each other too.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, I don't like the lineup of this either. It should be 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9, and do it like a traditional bracket would be. Having the 7, 8 seed playing each other doesn't make sense.
No, that makes no sense. Okay, so then 10 seeds Indiana. Who's the 9 seed again?
Washington.
That's gonna be just Russell Westbrook's gonna go triple-double 7 straight games. They're probably gonna win a 7-game series. Bradley Beal's gonna pop off at 50 one of the nights.
well, they only play each other once. Right? It's a 1-game play-in.
I'll probably give it to Wizards. Their offensive talent's gonna
for
sure easily.
Yeah, and Washington's on a tear. They're getting better as the season goes on.
Just this game they had today, Russell put up 28, 15, and 15, and Bradley Beal put up 50 and shot 19 from 31 from the field. Like, it was a ridiculous stat line.
Yeah. So Washington, and plus nobody wants to play Washington because of the combination of Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Those two guys together can win you a series.
Oh, yeah.
They're good enough to do that.
Yeah, purely offensively, they can win.
Yeah, Washington's definitely a team that I think a lot of the Eastern Conference worries about in the first round.
In the first round, yeah. I mean, they put up 83 between two players in one game.
Yeah.
There's teams that don't put up 83 combined on bad nights. Two players did that fucking... Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. So, I think it'll be fun. I think Boston wipes Charlotte. I know LaMelo's back, but...
It doesn't make a difference. Boston's got...
There's too much talent.
There's the talent level on every aspect.
Granted, they should also be better than the 7 seed with said talent, but...
Yeah. Again, the Celtics were kind of a bit of a basket case through the first half of the season.
Yeah.
They pulled it back together a little bit, but they never made the run. They never made that big tear to put them in the 5 seeds, solid or solidified.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and they did lose Marcus Smart for a big chunk of the season, and he's made a difference coming back, and that's kind of what helped right the ship for them.
Right.
So hopefully that they can keep going. Boston, they're too, like I said, they're just too talented to not be performing the way they should be.
Right. I feel like has that not always been the knock on Boston? Take away the big 3 years, because obviously we know what they accomplished.
Right.
After the big 3, they've always been talent, especially since Brad Stevens been there. They've always had high level talent, great defense, good scoring, long. They've always been long, tall, and the one thing they've always liked is as a true big man down low. It's the one thing, but that's how Brad Stevens runs his offense, his team. Right. But I feel like they've always been that same way. You always they should get over the hump this year. They got back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, lost both of them, lost a 3-1 lead 2 years ago, or last year even, I can't remember. And it's you always think that they're there, but they always fall short. That's been the knock for years now.
Yeah, for sure. But this year seems different because, the last 2 years, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they were top 3 seeds in both those seasons. Now they have basically almost the same team. You supplanted Kyrie for Kemba, and then you added Tristan Thompson. That's essentially the difference in this team right now.
Right.
But they're just underperforming mightily.
Really underperforming. It's super interesting because I would not expect. I don't think Kyrie made that big of a difference in terms of his departure. He was hurt so much last season. It didn't really matter.
Yeah, that's
it didn't make a huge difference to begin with.
He also clearly, just personality-wise, didn't fit with this team. Kemba, it seems to be much more part of the team than Kyrie ever was.
Yeah, and I think it was beyond team too. You got to think of Boston people, the culture of Boston. Okay. It's not a normal group. You talk to any person in that group in Boston, especially you hear Rogan talk because he's a Boston dude. It's a special group of people. There's nothing people like that.
Yeah, there's special,
Kyrie, yeah. Kyrie is his personality. You don't see him in that type of cold, hard, rugged town. He is a New Yorker. He's an LA guy. He's in that type of environment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I mean, and Boston fans can be calm down, slowly roll.
Torturous.
To the rest of the world.
Even to themselves sometimes.
Yeah, it's you're not God's gift to earth. Just calm down. You guys lucked out with Tom Brady, okay? All right, well let's get back to basketball. So I mean that's kind of the Eastern Conference. It's not there's not gonna be a lot to change.
Yeah.
Again, maybe Miami or Boston. We'll see how that goes.
So we're taking Wizards over Indiana. We're taking Celtics over Charlotte.
Yeah. So
then we have a one-off between Wizards and Celtics.
Probably the Celtics. They're still just a better team. When you look at the rosters of the 7 through 10 teams, Boston just stands out compared to the other ones.
They do. My worry is, again, Wizards are a tough out.
Right, but the Wizards, I actually think Boston and Washington will be the 2 teams that make it in because the 2 teams have to go, right? There's 4 teams there, 2 teams have to go. Just because
even if Wizards lose to Celtics, they can still easily make it in.
Exactly. Then I think they still end up playing.
Such a stupid system.
Yeah. They end up then replaying the winner of the Charlotte Indiana game.
So they still have to win. So even if they lose to Celtics, they have to go back and win another game.
Yeah.
God, that's such a crappy little tournament set up.
Yeah, it's like win 2 out of 3 kind of a deal.
It's just so weird. Okay. So either way, Celtics and Wizards are more likely getting in. No matter what, I say that's pretty solid.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Moving to the Western Conference, our 7 through 10 seeds here, we have the Lakers, Golden State, Memphis, and San Antonio. Those are actually all pretty much set also because New Orleans is the 11th seed and they're a game and a half back. Maybe they can get there. It'll be tough. The real only change that could happen is going back to the 6 versus 7 because Portland's at the 6. And they have a one-game lead right now on the Lakers, but they also own the tiebreaker.
Right, so this is where it comes down to schedule, ease of schedule, and then in reality, is LeBron going to be on the court? Right. I mean, AD's back and he's been monstrous. He's been killing it, lining it up last couple games. But like at the end of the day, like you need LeBron to really like when you go into a game to really say like, hey, we have a 100% chance of winning this game no matter what. LeBron has to be on the court.
Yo, yeah, for sure, you do. The one thing that is bothersome with the Lakers is that, like, even with LeBron out, you still have AD, a top 5 guy. Yeah. And even when he's been back, they've still struggled. And last week, or earlier this week, Richard Jefferson was on the jump, and he goes, can't be any excuses for Anthony Davis. He goes, if you're really a top 5 player in the entire league, which almost everyone thinks he is, you have to win these games. You don't need LeBron to help you win these games. You should be able to do that by yourself. Yeah. Which he did today. The Lakers beat the Suns.
He did the other day too. He had that last-minute block to solidify the game.
Yes, against Denver, another good team. Yeah. So he has stepped up, and there's that. They lost just the other night, and he played really well. It just came down to the wire. But today they beat Phoenix 123-110, and AD had 42 and 12.
Yeah, they were at 15 or 12 or 15 at halftime. Then they started hot and they kept the lead.
Mm-hmm. And Phoenix is no joke this year.
No, Phoenix is the real deal. Real deal.
Pretty sure I called that one.
You did. You fucking aced that one.
Ayo.
You aced that one for sure. Yeah, man. The thing is with AD is like I don't argue anything about him being top 5. I think he definitely is. Mm-hmm. Talent-wise, all around the court, he is. But, like, we solidified when he joined LeBron last year, and when LeBron was out, or there was times where they could have won the game, or AD made a mistake, or did something, or he got hurt, whatever. We've seen time and time again in his career that he's not the natural-born number 1 leader. Right. He might be the number 1 talent on the team. He could easily, like we saw that for years.
In New Orleans.
Easily, he could pop up to 50 a night here and there. He could shoot 90% from the field random nights, but he's never been that number 1 born leader on a team. That's just not his role.
Yeah, it's true. I wonder why that is because he's so good and he does go off at any time. Like he can get his whenever he wants, and he's so good on both ends of the floor. Like he's almost always gonna be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. Because he's so good. I mean, the block against Denver shows it. I don't know how he got.
He went from literally the post to the 3-point line.
Yeah, and like a step.
I mean, the dude's lengthy as hell, though.
Right, but that just shows there's almost nobody else in the league that can make that play. Yeah. The only other one that I think maybe could be like KD.
KD, Embiid in terms of length, but Embiid doesn't have the athleticism that AD has.
Yeah, I don't think he has the quickness to get out there.
KD was the only one that has the length and the athleticism to do so.
So I mean that's really impressive to do that. But it is kind of you're like why can't he be the guy for a team, right? Like what's holding that back?
I don't know. You never know. I mean, leadership does not equate to skill, and vice versa. Yep. There's no correlation between the two. So it just depends. I mean, this could go all the way back to his upbringing, his childhood. Like some people are born leaders. Like LeBron walks into a room and he wants to lead. He's there.
He commands your attention.
Exactly, and so I think that the leadership for LeBron, I think, came before the skill. The skill was God gifted. He just honed it and crafted it meticulously to what he needed to do. We saw in Miami. He went there. How many times in Miami after that first season, we saw him go to the post that second season, and his post game leveled up.
Oh, because he's like, that's what this team needs.
Exactly. He meticulously crafted his skill set to what, he's adaptable, malleable.
He literally spent the entire offseason after that first year that they lost, and spent the entire offseason with Hakeem Olajuwon. Right. The master of post moves, and honed his craft. And
that's what he did, but his skills were God-gifted. He meticulously crafted them to what he needed. Yeah. But the leadership has been there since day one. Yeah. That was his bread and butter to begin with. So who knows? I think KD could probably get to that point. I think there's a. I think
80.
Oh yeah, sorry, AD, not KD.
KD.
I mean, he's kind of the same ballpark too, though. He's not the natural born leader, but he's a naturally born gifted player.
Right. It is interesting. It seems like some guys they might not be the most vocal of players. Like they only show it on the court, and you need like have that vocal leader too. I wanted to compare it kind of to Kawhi, but Kawhi was the same way. Like when they won in San Antonio, he didn't have to be the vocal leader at all. When he went to Toronto and won, he didn't have to be the vocal leader because they had Kyle Lowry. And then we saw him with the Clippers. They've struggled because there's been no like real vocal leader, which I think you need both. You need guys that lead by actions and guys that lead with their voices.
Right. I think AD is more towards the action side of things. Definitely. So yeah, there's just not a correlation between leadership and presence and whatnot, and to skill level on the court.
Right.
There's no equaling out between the two.
So I mean, hopefully he can learn from LeBron, because LeBron's about the best leader the NBA's probably ever seen, in both vocally and like putting your work in on the court. So
there's very few. I mean, Kobe obviously, MJ obviously. But
Kobe and MJ weren't always the best teammates.
Yeah, no, they were a different type of leadership. They were hard-nosed.
Yeah, they could chafe people the wrong way.
Oh, definitely.
Where, like, no one talks bad about LeBron. Everyone loves LeBron.
Yeah, no, that dude is malleable. Like, he will do whatever he needs to, on, off the court, and life. Like, he adapts like no other.
Malleable. That's a good word.
That's a good word,
right?
That's
a good word,
I like
man.
That one. But I am meticulous, too.
SAT word of the day, kids.
SAT word.
Malleable.
I hit blasphemy last week. I'm just racking them up.
Yeah, you went on your Stephen A. rant. Anyway, look at so going through if the Lakers can take Portland back for the 6th spot, right?
Right.
So the next 4 games for the Lakers are the Knicks. Not an easy out.
No.
By any means. But then they finish with Houston, Indiana, and New Orleans. And now I know Indiana's in the play-in in the East, but they are the 10 spot, and they're
under 500
by 5. They're 5 games under 500.
Yeah.
So they're not a great team. Houston's atrocious.
Yeah,
they're just bad, and New Orleans. New Orleans like that. They'll be a fun team to watch in the coming years, but they're not there yet.
Yeah.
Plus, Zion might not. I mean, he has a broken ring finger now. They said out indefinitely. I wouldn't be surprised if they just keep him out the rest of the season.
You're not in playoffs. What's the point of playing trying to get back within 4 games?
Right.
There's no point.
So he's probably out too, and that just makes it easier. So, I mean, the Lakers could very feasibly go 3-1, possibly 4-0.
Right.
Because they can beat the Knicks, but the Knicks are tough out. But I'd say they probably go 3-1 in that series.
Right.
Especially if LeBron comes back at all. Whereas on the flip side, Portland. Their first game's easy. They got Houston, but then they get Utah, Phoenix, and Denver.
Yeah, that could easily be a 1-3 or maybe a 2-2 split.
That's your 1, 2, and 4 seeds in the West. In the West, not the East.
Not the East, the West. So yeah, they could easily go 1-3 or they could go 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of depends on what kind of Portland team shows up. Really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, with LA being back 1 game, and they have the tiebreakers, that means they can't LA has to get a game ahead. They have to win at least 3, and if the Portland loses 2, then there you have it.
Yeah, it's a pretty likely scenario either way for it to go to swap or not swap. I think both are just as likely to happen.
Yeah, I think it could. I think the Lakers, especially without LeBron, have been so up and down.
Yeah.
So I could see it happening. I hope what we see from AD the last few games is the AD that continues to go through the end of the year and into the playoffs. Right. Because they need that AD.
That's the only AD that has to show up. If not, they have no chance.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes into a 7-game series.
For sure. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting. The play-in tournament, it's new. The players hate it.
Everybody hates it. LeBron trying to fire people.
And LeBron's got the clout to do it. He probably, I guarantee you, he's got Adam Silver, number memorized, and just calls him, hey, that guy got to go. Can't do it. He's got to go. He wants to. I mean, he probably only hates it because he's in the position and he's probably never thought he'd ever be in the position to be part of the play-in.
It could be some personal letdown to it.
Yeah, he's probably just mad about that or anything.
That's definitely possible.
But there's a few guys that came out for like Steph Curry was like it's an honor to play and play like he's like we've had a tough season and and he's like bring it on basically.
Yeah. Some teams it's like it's a second chance. I think for LeBron, part of it's probably personal, like just disgust with the fact he's there. The other part could be is like I want the best of the best teams. I don't need this number 10 bullcrap team getting lucky winning 2 games, and now I got to waste a 7-game series on where we could be hurting ourselves and injuries and stuff like that.
No, it's only 3 games or 2 games if you win the first 2. But
no, I'm saying, but like the 10 seed could win 2 games and then eventually you have to play them in a 7-game series, first round of the playoffs type thing, and you don't want to waste time potentially getting injured on a team that shouldn't have made it in if a playoff format was normal.
Yeah, for sure. Teams can get hot, so we'll see. But I think in the long run, this will end up being a really enjoyable thing for the league. I think it'll be good for the league. I think the biggest issue the players have around that is just like it's already such a short and condensed season. Yeah. They're playing a ton of back-to-backs. They're putting in all this stuff that's just the season's tough, especially after this shortest offseason in sports history for the teams that made it to the bubble.
Yeah. Well, so the whole back-to-back game is so annoying because the last 2 years prior to COVID, NBA actually did a huge scheduling change to negate majority of back-to-back. Because they realized how many injuries were coming from it, how many players were taking rest days. You saw all the stars: KD, Kyrie, LeBron, AD. They were all choosing certain rest days if they had back-to-backs if they didn't need to play.
I mean, let's be honest. The whole rest rule they put in, where like you can't rest your star players on national televised games. Yeah. We basically just called it the Kawhi rule. Yeah. Because he was taking every other game off.
I mean, yeah, it's just like they did that for the back-to-backs for injuries and all that, and then but then COVID and they all of a sudden you're going to lose $1 billion money revenue. I don't know. You're going to play 2 months from now and you're going to play back-to-back games 50% of the season.
Yeah. I mean, money is the answer to all your questions. It's a very famous quote. I can't remember who said it right now, but Tony Kornheiser says it all the time. It's like his favorite quote.
Yeah, but it's also like there's also a correlation to that as why the NBA ratings have tanked in the last couple of years compared to like majority of other sports.
All sports are dropping except for the NFL.
Yeah, but NBA has always been like the bottom of the barrel in terms of TV ratings. They've never had great ratings in recent years.
No, they haven't. But it's not in the ratings. The playoffs are always big. I think people will join for this play-in tournament though, or for viewership. And the biggest thing is because there's a very good chance we have the Lakers versus the Warriors as one of the play-in games, the very first play-in game because they're the 7 versus the 8, and you got LeBron versus Steph, renewing that rivalry from his Cleveland days, and it's arguably the 2 biggest stars in the league right now.
Oh, I mean, even if you don't have to argue spots, they're the 2 of the biggest stars regardless of ranking.
And I think that's probably another reason why LeBron's pissed. He doesn't want to go play Steph.
Fuck no. Who wants to play Steph? No
one wants to. Everyone's terrified of Steph Curry. Draymond said that, and no one wants to agree with him, but everyone is. Because Steph Curry can go off for 50 or 60 on any given night, and there's nothing you can fucking do about it.
There's nothing you can do. Don't care how good your defense is. If he's on fire, you're not stopping him.
No, it's just
like you can have literally the best defense in the world. Your hand could be centimeters away from that ball every time he shoots. If he's on, he's fucking on.
Yeah, that's it. Unless you actually get a piece of the ball, it's probably going in. It's just he gets in that mode where he's just automatic.
Yeah,
and he just makes things that don't make any freaking sense.
None of it makes sense.
I mean, he had that it was probably 3 weeks ago now, but when he was in that crazy stretch of 40-point games or 30-point games, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was against Boston, and he goes up for a shot, and I think it was Jason Tatum coming at him, and he gets hit. He switches to his left hand, puts it up with his left hand, and he banks it in.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
It's like, there's nobody else in the league that makes that shot.
No. No one even puts it to the left hand. They just take the foul and go to the line.
Yeah, no. He goes, no, don't worry, I'm going to get this bucket anyways.
So anyways, let's hit the West Side. I don't think we actually fully pick our choices between playing tournaments on the West Side here.
Yeah, so let's go as is right now.
Yeah.
We have the Lakers versus the Warriors, and the Memphis versus San Antonio. That Memphis San Antonio game, I have no idea who to pick. Like, neither one of these teams are like great.
No, I'd probably pick San Antonio.
Just because of the experience.
The experience. I mean, they do have DeRozan, and that's probably your one key, and then Popovich.
Right. Memphis is still very young.
Yeah.
They haven't been there, so.
No. So I'd probably go San Antonio from Popovich's experience level, and I mean DeRozan too. He's not the same player he was in Toronto a couple years back. He's not the lights out guy, but he's got a championship under his belt. He's
pretty lights out from about 15 feet.
Yeah, that's true.
His mid-range game is ridiculous.
So take him there. The Warriors and Lakers are gonna be a great game regardless. But I think, top to bottom, Lakers should win that game.
Right.
Like, just skill level all around. Outside of Steph.
And unless, like, they amputate LeBron's leg, he'll be playing in that game.
More than likely.
He's not going to sit out that game.
No. I think it would be ridiculous if he did.
Yeah. Like, if he sits out that game, you know something's seriously wrong.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of scrutiny. Oh, God, the amount of Skip Bayless tweets I'll see if he sat out. Oh, Jesus. Please, God, LeBron play so I don't need to see Skip Bayless.
Hey, since it's kind of relevant to LeBron, did you see the Skip Bayless quote that came out yesterday? It was 7 years ago to the day where he said that Johnny Manziel would be a bigger deal in Cleveland than his buddy LeBron ever was.
I put that out on our Instagram. I saw it, and it was like May 7th. 2014. I was like, this guy literally just wants to hate LeBron so much.
He's such an idiot. The funny thing is, I commented on one because there's a ton of posts. I commented on one. I was like, you could literally say this about any Skip Bayless quote on any day.
Yeah.
Just put out a new Skip Bayless quote every day of the week, and something stupid comes out. I promise.
For whatever reason it comes to LeBron, he's the biggest hater I've ever seen on LeBron.
He is.
All day long, no matter what he says, he hates LeBron. I just don't get it.
I don't know. No one gets him either. I don't know how he is on TV.
I think he's just jealous.
He probably is jealous. He's jealous of Stephen A. He's jealous of LeBron.
Probably because his co-host is Shannon Sharp. He's like, I couldn't get anybody better than this.
Probably.
So we're probably taking Lakers. So then we got who we taking? Lakers, San Antonio to make it in. Or do you think?
No. I actually go with Lakers and Golden State.
You think? Yeah, Golden State probably goes down and pulls a victory back out.
Yeah, for sure. That's where I would go with it.
That's probably more likely.
Just because, I mean, who knows? There's a very good chance that, I think the Warriors could beat the Lakers in that first game, and then the Lakers have to, then go through and, they'll beat Memphis and San Antonio probably pretty easily. But yeah. It'll be interesting. The play-in tournament's like I said, I think it's gonna be really fun. It's new. We're not sure exactly how it's gonna work out, but I think in the long run, it's gonna be a really fun thing to watch.
Yeah, I'm curious. We'll see if we'll get any crazy shakeups. We'll get one of those one-off night, mess up upsets, kind of NCAA tournament style.
Right.
If Bradley Beal and Westbrook go off for 90 combined and they knock off somebody,
like they knock out the Celtics.
Yeah, exactly. Like you never know.
Yeah, it certainly would be. And then we go directly into the standard playoff format. So we'll get to that when we get a little closer and we have a little more idea on the seeding on that, because a lot can change there still. So let's stay in the NBA a little bit and let's dive in. Let's get to the Nets here. We broke down the Lakers a little bit and and their issues that they're having. So let's get down to the Nets. The Nets are on a bit of a slide. James Harden, KD's back, but Harden's now out, and apparently KD and Kyrie aren't playing so well together.
Yeah, Harden's been lights out since he joined.
Yeah, so when all three of them are on the court, which has only happened 7 times this year, they're 5-2. Great. When Harden's on the court, regardless who else is out there with him, they're 27-7. Great. But when Harden is out and it's just Durant and Kyrie playing, they're 7-9.
Yeah.
These are the guys that originally came together by themselves to win a championship game or win a championship.
Right.
But they're
does this show stat record was KD on the court alone where Harden and Kyrie are gone? Is there games played with KD by himself?
I don't think there has been, actually.
Okay.
If there is, it's maybe just one. But that's the thing. Like when Harden's there, Harden clearly is what's making this team go.
I think it's just a offensive style issue. because like you gotta think Harden's game is mostly 3-pointer driving, right? Kyrie and KD are more on ball heavy handling to the lane.
ISOs.
I mean, they both can shoot threes extremely well, but that's not their first option. You know, Harden's spot up is one of the best. Like spot up 3-point shooting, Harden and Klay Thompson, really. In terms of spot up, dribble, already holding the ball, pump, shoot. Those guys, I mean, they're the two best in the league, in my opinion. There. Where KD and Kyrie, they're ball-centric more. They want to move the ball, they want to dribble, they want to get to the lane, get open bucket. And if the two of them on the court where they both want to be, if you call it ball hogging in a sense, that slows down the entire offense because the flow, the rhythm of the offensive ability is going to be terrible. If they could cause friction between the two, like, hey, I need to get a shot up. Like, I'm losing my own rhythm because you keep taking all the damn shots.
Right, because you're basically hijacking the offense.
Yeah, so if that goes back and forth, they both get cold because there's no flow of the offense. The rest of the team has no rhythm because there's never been a flow to begin with, including them. Where Harden makes it a little bit easier because he can pull so much to him because he's so demanding on the 3-point line, where it opens up the lanes for them to get easy passes, easy drives. They're not creating so much offense for themselves.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the biggest issue is that Harden is the one who's making the passes, and getting the open looks to people. He's clearly the more willing passer, it seems like, out of the three of them, which is not surprising. I mean, he was on a triple-double tear in Houston for a long time.
Yeah.
He's a very good passer. He's a very willing passer.
Right.
So I think that's kind of where this is coming down to with them.
Yeah, Kyrie's never been known for his passing ability.
Yeah, I mean,
like he's never been a passing guard.
Yeah, even though he's a point guard.
Like that's just not his game. I mean, what's his career average? Probably 6.5, 7 assists a game. If I had to,
I feel like that's high.
It might be. If I had to put a number to it, and honestly, KD's probably somewhere around the same range. KD's probably more lower, maybe 5-ish.
Right.
So they're just. I think that both are so ball dominant, heavy players that in terms of creating offense and creating passing abilities off the dribble is mainly their game. And either they're both falling out of rhythm from having to go back and forth, or they're clogging up the passing lanes because they both want to get to the rim. That is not. There's no flow of the offense.
Yeah, and Kyrie career average is 6.2 assists per game, so that's actually higher than I thought it would be.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think it still comes. Yeah, I think it's Harden's clearly the cog that's making this engine run. He's got to be on the court for them to win. There's too much talent in this team for them losing, regardless of Harden being on there, unless somehow KD and Kyrie get their shit together and learn how to play together.
Yeah, it seems so stupid. Like we have 3 of the best players when all healthy in the league on one team.
Right.
And we lose one of them. Oh, damn, we're a sub 500 team now. Like it doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't. Whatever they need to figure out, they need to figure out quick. I think part of the issue probably comes down to Steve Nash too, being a first-year coach. I know he has a lot of experience on his assistants, but like, there's still something there that they're looking at you to make the right decision.
Some of it probably is. Other part of it, I mean, how many times in the entire Kyrie Irving's career have we seen him be an issue on a team? Yeah. Every team. Cleveland prior to LeBron, Cleveland during LeBron, Celtics, now New York.
Yeah, he's
had
weird personal days he's taken.
He's had issues, and I mean he's been open about his mental issues and whatnot. But I'm not even speaking about that. I'm just speaking in terms of being a good teammate and a good player for your organization. Right. Your general sense of duties when it comes to being a professional NBA player and being one of the best in the world and the top guys that is looked at, I feel like his responsibility level is way down here. Yeah. He gets treated like he's the top guy, and as he should, and he earned his right to that. But the way he acts, he doesn't carry himself in that manner, it seems like. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. We'll see how that ends up going for them. Hopefully, I hope they can bring it back. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to see them put it together. And like when they were all playing together, when all 3 of them were on the court, they went 5-2, and they were scoring like 135 points a game.
Like when he had all three of them on there.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
So, I mean, if they can do that, I mean, it's going to be really hard to slow them down regardless of how good your defense is. That's a lot of points.
It's a lot to average.
So, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Like I said, I hope they can put it together. I hope that they can... I want to see them at full strength. Like, truly at full strength, you know? And have them go. Hopefully they can stay healthy. That's the other thing with them. Like, I mean, Harden's... This is like one of the first time Harden's been hurt in his career. But, like, Kyrie and KD are on the lineup, like... for massive chunks of time for like almost their entire careers now.
Pretty consistently.
So like I hope they come back healthy and I hope they can pull it together because it'd be fun to watch. I think it'd be good for the league to have a team like just be like this good on just one level, you know. Plus it creates a villain because then people want to see them lose and they do lose like boom, even better ratings,
even more money. Yeah,
more money.
Yeah. Yeah, there's certain teams, especially when it comes to playoff time, like, can you please just play to your best of your abilities, to the top level?
Yeah.
Because there's so many times the playoffs, as good as they can be when it comes to a 7-game series, because, you know, the best team in the league could have an off night, and they could go down 0-2 in a series. But if they're still the best team in the league, especially the best team against that team they're playing in, a lot of times they can come back from 0-2 and win the series, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But it's like, it's very rare you get a team that's the best in the league, the best talent that can actually ride it the whole way through and not have those terrible nights where you're like, what the hell just happened to this team?
Yeah, for sure.
It's rare.
And granted, though, like, you know, the first year thing is certainly an issue. Like, local, you know, Miami didn't win their first year together.
Yep. Lakers didn't either.
They at least made it to the championship game.
Right.
Well, the Lakers, they did with AD when AD first got there. His first year was last year, and they won their championship.
Right, but listen, LeBron's first year, they didn't make playoffs, and then the second year,
well, it's because it was a bad team.
Yeah, but yeah, first years are definitely a different ballpark,
especially when they have such. I mean, like the Miami would have been hard enough, but they played like almost a full 82 games together.
Right.
And as of right now, the three of them have played 7 games together.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, it's obviously the lack of chemistry will probably arise more than once in the playoffs.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. We'll see if that tears them down or not.
For sure. I mean, it certainly like seems that would benefit the teams like Miami or Philly or Milwaukee. The teams that have been together for a little bit, they know how to play together, and they'll certainly that would be an advantage for them to be able to pick at the kind of the weak points of a team that doesn't really know how to play together yet.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Game plan strategy wise against them, I'm sure you can find some holes.
Yeah,
and how to disrupt that team.
For sure. So, I don't know. I love playoff basketball. It's so much different from regular basketball. I'm excited to see it, and it's like I said, it's like a couple weeks away, really.
Really, a week away.
Yeah,
basically.
So it's gonna be fun. So let's move on. Let's go to cold new sport here. Whole different sport. New sport. I don't know.
I thought you said cold new sport.
Oh, cold. Cold. It's freezing in those gyms.
Right.
No, new sport. Like we're switching turns here. So, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Right. Anyway, hey guys, we're going to boxing.
Switching turns, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So let's talk about the GOAT. Let's talk about the GOAT of the GOAT.
The GOAT of the GOAT. Man, we should go to bed. we're struggling right now. All right, so
what we're referencing is Canelo Alvarez.
Yes.
His recent fight to unify the super middleweight division. His first fighter he needed to unify with.
Yeah.
Just beats
Billy Joe Saunders.
Billy Joel.
No, just Joe. Just Billy Joe. Damn. Not Joel. He's not the piano man.
I gave him too much credit. Billy Joe Saunders, 8-round knockout. Called it during his corner called it ringside. If you watch the fight, or if you watch the fight, you know exactly what happened. If you haven't watched the fight,
go look at the highlight.
It's nasty. So what ended up happening was basically Saunders missed the right hand, was ducking under Canelo, full body wind up, uppercut, smashed his orbital bone completely. You can see the X-rays online. Actually severed from the bone above his eye.
Yeah, it's bad.
Completely severed off. Went to the corner. Canelo, if you also see in the interviews post game, the audio footage, Canelo's like he can't return. Like I felt it break.
Yeah, he said
I felt it through the glove.
He said he won't come back out. I broke his cheek.
Yeah, I felt it. And then Saunders. We go back to the corner. You're looking at Saunders, and you can see the doctor just pushing, and you see a little bit of mush just moving around. And it's like
there's no more solidness to his cheek.
Yeah, so an absolute nasty shot. So clean timing too.
Yeah.
The Saunders punch was straight across the nose. He just little duck. Fuck, it was so clean.
Yeah. Canelo is
Absolute monster.
God, he's a brilliant boxer. He really is.
Yeah.
I love watching his fights. He's a true technician of the sport, but he's also like a mean motherfucker. Like he's a badass. Like he knocks people out, and I think he's kind of new to the super middleweight division, the 168 pound. He has 3 of the belts there now, but he has been in there for most of his career. He's only been there for about a year and a half or so. Right. But I think it's like the perfect spot for him. Like he still has all the speed, but he just looks more powerful here.
So much power.
I mean, he's probably the strongest guy in the division.
And you can see against Saunders too. Saunders was, even when Saunders trying to throw his heavy punches, they did not have the power. Like you didn't hear him land like you hear it when Canelo lands. Yes. You could hear it. And Saunders had 2 inches on Canelo too. Like he was the bigger man overall. Yeah.
And it's like he's a scrub. He was undefeated.
Yeah. He was 30-0, 14 KOs or 15 KOs.
Yeah.
Like he was no joke. I mean, he had a title for a reason.
And the fight was like, Saunders had his moments in the fight. I mean, Saunders definitely won a round or two.
Like round 4 and 5, he looked really good.
Possibly even 6.
Yeah.
The judges, it did come out that the judges, there were three judges. 2 of them had Canelo at 4 rounds. 1 judge had him up 3 rounds. So probably about where most people had it. But Saunders definitely had his moments in this fight. So to go over the stat line of these punches, though, interesting enough, Canelo didn't use his jab at all, which is rare. He like generally leads with his jab. Right. Only threw 96 times and only landed 15 of them. So a super low percentage of 15%. But this dude landed almost 53% of his power punches. He landed 58 of 110 power punches, 38 of them to the body.
Yeah, and that's Canelo's game too. If you're hearing the analysts talk ringside during the fight, I mean, even we were talking about the first round too. Like he's just lighting up his body, left and right, body, kidney shots, everything.
Chop down the tree.
And Canelo's history of fights. I mean, I'd bet out of how many knockout. I don't know his exact knockout ratio. I think it's somewhere like in the 30s, mid 30s. Something like he's like 35 or 36, something like that. I would bet you 75% of those came within 8 to 10th rounds, because he is so methodical. He chops you down. For round 1, round 2, round 3, all body. Round 4, 5, 6, he starts going heavy, putting the pressure on, getting you heavy, getting you real tired.
He's always on you. He's always on you.
And then 8, 9, 10, he just picks you apart.
Yeah, and he has 56 wins, 38 by knockout.
Damn, I'm so close on my numbers.
Yeah, I mean, and if you don't know a lot about boxing, Canelo is an absolute beast. He has 1 loss in his record. So he's 59 wins or 59 fights, 56 wins, 1 loss and 2 draws. The loss came to Floyd Mayweather.
When he was 19 years old.
Yeah.
Or 20 years old.
Yeah, 19
now
or
he's
20.
30.
Yeah, he's 30 years old now. He went pro at 15.
Yeah.
He was a teenager he went pro. So it shows you that the type of like fighter he was to go pro that young, because most people don't. Most of them, they keep him in the amateur boxing for a while because they need to still hone their technique. And he was already so good that like
he could compete.
Yeah, and he did immediately, clearly, because he's only lost 1 damn fight in his career. Yeah. And it was to arguably the greatest fighter of the last 25 years.
Yeah, and he did it when he was a kid. Like he was years and years away from his prime. Like, he's in his prime now, but like even when he was 25, that's a whole different fight.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean,
so
Canelo in his prime versus Mayweather in his prime would be gold to watch.
It'd be gold.
I'm not gonna give they're like my 2 favorite fighters. You would neither one gets hit. It's just like so defensively, like no one's getting hit.
The best defensive display of all time.
And also that would actually be a fun fight to watch. Like just watch so many like that kind of perfect defense. Like just miss after miss after miss. Like that's really, really impressive. If you're in the fighting game, like it's insanely impressive. So, all right, so we gotta get into what's next for Canelo.
Right.
He has 3 of the 4 belts in the super middleweight division. There's 1 to go. The guy who has that is Caleb Plant. Canelo called him out after. He's like, not like calling him out like disrespectfully.
But that's out the way. He wants to unify the division. He was you're the only person that deserves to fight, because that's the only one that matters to me.
Yeah, and he's the way that works too. Like, it's a huge opportunity for Caleb Plant too, because whoever wins unifies the division.
Yeah, Caleb Plant could go from 1 belt to 4 belts. Yeah. In a fight.
So, Caleb Plant is still pretty young in pro boxing. He's 21-0 with 12 knockouts. I mean, he's young. He's a little bit younger. He's at 28. a little bit longer reach. He has a 74-inch reach, is a couple inches more than Canelo, which
Yeah.
so did Billy Joe Saunders, and they make a difference. And reading up about this, because that's what Canelo wants, and probably what will happen. They actually say that Caleb Plant and Billy Joe Saunders are very similar in their fighting techniques.
Okay.
Which doesn't really mean anything because this last fight ended in a knockout and a TKO, so a little different. It doesn't mean that it doesn't lessen Caleb Plant's chances by any means,
Right. No. No, so what's Caleb Plant's record for
21-0.
21-0? He's young.
He's 28.
I mean, young in terms of pro boxing.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like. And I don't stylistically when it comes to Canelo, I don't think it matters.
Right.
I don't think it matters what type of style boxer he fights. I don't think it makes any difference. Because he's there to fight his game. He'll do the same thing. His head movements will never be bad. His head movement will always be the best.
It's perfect.
His jab is great, but we just said he didn't use his jab this fight. He adapted. We saw a lot of left and right heavy hooks. We saw a lot of uppercuts, a lot of body shots. He adapted to what Saunders gave him, and he capitalized on it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it matters at all what Caleb Plant really does. The only thing is Caleb Plant needs to not get hit.
Right. So now I'm looking. He's pretty new to having the belt. He's had the belt since January of 2019. So it's been a couple years, but he's only defended it 3 times.
Okay, so 3 fights in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
This will be his 4th then.
The first 2 defenses he won by TKO, and the last one he won by unanimous decision.
There's just no chance in me that I go against Canelo.
Oh, no, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. I'm just trying to, build it up a little bit.
So we'll see. I mean, it would be interesting to get a full unification, though. I think that's something it's certainly possible in the sport of boxing. It's not something that happens on a consistent basis. It takes one of those special types of fighters that can do that. So, yeah, I think it goes the same way. Again, I think Canelo around between 8 and 10, he has a system, and he's so good in technique, as you called him, a technician.
Oh, yeah.
But it goes on his defensive setup, his offensive setup, his countering, his transitions between rounds in terms of what he's going to come at and set you up for the next round.
Mm-hmm.
He fights around. I feel like he fights rounds ahead of the other fighters.
Okay.
In terms of his setups, in the basic, like I just said, in round 1, 2, 3 against Saunders, it was body, 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 body. You said chop the tree, which is a great example, right?
Right.
Round 4, 5, 6, we gave the round to Saunders because Canelo went more heavy. He started throwing those left, right hooks. He started throwing those uppercuts. He went heavy, and I even said, I was like, he's throwing way too heavy. It was all power punches. It seemed like to me, and Saunders won, rounds 4, 5, maybe even 6 to some judges, because he was able to kind of land easier shots because Canelo was opening his guard up more to go heavy. But then rounds 8, 9, 10, you pull it all together. You pull the head move. You give Canelo's defense and the head movement there. All of a sudden, Saunders can't hit what he just hit 2 rounds ago.
Yeah.
Because Canelo showed it and then took it right back away. But then Canelo got your body tired. Now he's throwing heavy punches. He just waited to counter. Now, Saunders is like, oh, I'm going to go with my right hand. I just hit him with it 2 rounds ago, clean a couple times.
Right.
Canelo's going to set up the same way. Nope, here we go. Here's my change up. Right, uppercut to the dome.
Yeah, I mean, he's always moves ahead. I mean, he's playing chess, not checkers.
Exactly.
So
Caleb Plant better come in with God on his fucking every God in history with wherever you're from,
right
on your side here.
And if they are able to pull this fight together, there's a very good chance it'll happen later this year. More than likely, September, roughly around September 16th. That is Mexico's Independence Day.
Yeah.
And Canelo always likes to fight around Cinco de Mayo and Mexico's Independence Day. That's what he does.
Well, I heard a stat too to the fight that Canelo's last 3 fights have all been exactly 71 or 72 days apart, exactly to the day.
Oh, that's weird.
Don't know why. Don't know if that's a thing. He says he likes his. He was interviewed about it. They said that he goes, I'm always in the gym. I'm always ready to fight at any point. He goes, there's no reason not to fight. So I mean, and the way he fights and how he wins, he's not really taking much damage. So it's not like it takes him. It's not an MMA fight where you need weeks of recovery to get back into the training. He probably takes a day and he's back in the gym without any real side effects.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that in 2.5 months.
Could be, yeah. I mean, it'd be September. That tends to be where he likes to fight at.
Right.
Interesting enough, that one doesn't fight. The other name that pops out a lot is Jermell Charlo, who is an up and comer. Him and his brother are both really good. But people are all saying that the Canelo camp doesn't want the Charlo fight, because they're kind of scared of the Charlo brothers. That's what rumors are saying. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if that happens if the Plant fight can't. But we'll see which way that goes. It's an interesting thing to kind of keep your eye on. Is the Charlos against Canelo?
The Charlos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people are completely stupid if they think Canelo's afraid of any fighter.
No. I don't think it's that. It's just the Charlos. They're crazy athletic for being boxers. They're the type of kids that they were probably the best basketball player, probably the best football player, probably the best baseball player,
right.
In their schools,
Just
kind of deal.
Freak athleticism.
Yeah. So they're crazy athletic, and that's something that's hard to
It's a hard thing. Yeah, the game planning is hard, but interesting. I think Canelo 100% unifies the whole super middleweight division.
Yeah, I hope he does. I hope he gets that chance that he wants, and that only helps solidify him as not only one of the greatest boxers of all time, but probably the greatest Mexican boxer of all time, which is a very, very big deal in Mexico.
I mean, there's the amount of amazing Mexican boxers we've seen come through the sport is handful. Yeah. I mean, names that you talk about in the conversation of best ever.
Oh yeah. I mean, and boxing is revered in Mexico. They love boxing down there, and so to be called the best that our country's ever produced is it's on another level.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Absolutely insane.
I hope he can. I'm a Canelo fanboy. So.
Yeah. Same here. Same here.
All right, let's move into our last subject. Get off of real boxing.
Celebrity boxing.
Yeah, celebrity boxing.
We continue with Fight to the Death Summer.
It's just, I mean, these are entertaining. They're not real fights, but they're entertaining enough. So, the reason this comes up, we have Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fighting, and they had a press conference this week.
Down in Florida.
And Jake Paul, Logan's brother, was there, helping promote. Had a bit of a altercation with Floyd Mayweather, where they're fighting, or they're kind of just talking shit back and forth. And then, a 12-year-old, Jake Paul grabs Floyd Mayweather's hat and runs away. He's like, I got your hat, I got your hat.
Got your hat.
But Floyd Mayweather is a grown-ass man. And Floyd Mayweather doesn't like to be disrespected in any way. And he viewed that as disrespect. So Floyd Mayweather chased Jake Paul down, and they had to be physically removed. There are pictures out that Floyd landed more than one punch.
Yeah. I mean, that and Floyd's 6-7 feet tall, 300-pound security guards, and a crowd of 100 people of media getting chased in and out of the tunnels in the stadium that they were at. Absolutely ridiculous. I think the greatest thing about this whole situation is if you go back and look at Jake Paul's feed, he said that he was going to do this before the press conference even started. He was on Instagram I'm going to steal his hat. I'm going to take his hat from him. He already said it. And then afterwards he posted his face. He goes, it went just as planned. And it was, oh my God, it was hilarious.
Honestly, everything you said last week about the way he's doing his business, it's so line line.
It's fucking gold, though. It's honestly hilarious at this point.
Yeah.
There was so much backstory that was hilarious. Logan Paul put up on his Twitter. So right after that, Jake Paul in the airport got a gotcha hat tattoo across his leg. In the airport, 20 minutes after they left the stadium. Right across the top of his thigh above his knee, got a gotcha hat. On his website, he had gotcha hats on sale. Half hour later, he knew. He said he called it from the beginning on his social media. He pulled it off, got his ass beat a tiny bit, but it was all for his planning. And then he's out there making merch and shit instantly. The dude's a marketing genius at this point. It's hilarious.
He's a fool, but sure, okay, I'll give you it.
I find it so funny at this point.
No one else is great. There's a video out too, so that's how going on. And Logan tries to jump in to help, and Logan's bodyguard is just has him in a bear hug, and you can see Logan struggling, and the guy's just no. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, he had no face or nothing. He was like, I got you, buddy. I got you.
Like, you ain't going anywhere. You can't, like, you're trying a lot, but trust me, I'm not moving.
Yeah. That dude was like a lumberjack, too. He was a big old country boy.
It was just like, because it's not like Logan Paul's, like, a weak person.
Logan Paul's jacked.
I know. Like, Logan Paul's strong, and this dude's, like, holding him like it's a teddy bear.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
It was funny. Oh, there were so many things. There was a video that Jake Paul, because he was standing all right on the edge of the little podium they had during the talk off, right? And there was a video that when Floyd was over in the corner, kind of by Jake, speaking to the crowd, Jake leaned over and untied his shoe. Goes, "Your shoes untied." As Floyd's on stage, he unties his shoe. Hey, your shoes untied. You should probably tie your shoe. Shoes untied.
Don't let you trip.
Like, he's in front of him, just like tearing apart his shoe. Oh, dude, it was hilarious. There's another video that Logan in the locker room afterwards calls Jake. It was like, bro, like, what is wrong with you? He goes, you just got kicked out of the event. He goes, what do you mean? He's like, Logan's like, you can't come to the fight anymore. You got kicked out of the venue. He goes, Jake's like, I don't give a fuck. And Logan's like, what about me, bro? You're supposed to be in my corner.
Right?
And then there was another video. This one was probably the funniest one. They're on the plane, and you see the video is like right dead side on. Logan's the most stone cold pissed off face is staring at Jake, and Jake's like slowly turns his head and just like reaches over, and Logan's wearing a hat and just snaps his hat and goes, got your hat. To Logan. Logan's face is so pissed. And he just like slowly like creeps his hand over and just like, got your hat. Just the whole thing he's doing, like, one is genius because he's getting so much market press, and like it doesn't matter if you hate him or you love him. He's winning the fuck out of everything he does. He's
certainly putting the old term, no publicity is better, or bad publicity is better than no publicity.
Yeah.
He's definitely pushing that to its limits.
Oh, definitely.
So.
But it's like it's getting him millions of dollars in fights. Yeah. Like, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, he clearly knows what he's doing. He's clearly doing it on purpose, and he loves it, obviously.
Oh, he's having a lot of fun.
And he has no problem being the villain. And all sports need villains, even if it's amateur boxing.
Even if you're a celebrity.
Yeah.
I mean, how many celebrities are villains that people hate? A lot of them. There's probably more people that hate celebrities than that love celebrities in the world.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe not. I feel like there's not that many like celebrities, like actors or whatever, like just people out there in general you like hate.
Yeah, it could be true. But when it comes down to anybody that's usually in top echelon, especially in terms of money and fame and publicity,
right.
A lot of people they hate on them. That just kind of.
That's true. Yeah, I mean they have haters. I wouldn't say that they're like widely hated. I guess is what I would say.
Yeah, well, I mean Jake Paul I think is probably widely hated. I
bet you is closer to 50-50 than we think. I bet you has just as many lovers as he does, haters.
Oh, I'm sure. It's like either you see through the smoke or you're completely blinded.
Yeah,
it's one or the other.
I certainly see what he's doing and that it's working. I still want him to see his head get knocked off.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he said after he ever takes a loss.
Right. Yeah.
I'm curious what he would say. If he would still be the ridiculous person, or if he'd have some type of humbleness and defeat.
Right. Like how real fighters do. Like after every fight, unless there's like true bad blood.
Yeah. Like
there's always respect given.
Usually, yeah. Very 99% of the time, I'd say. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the Logan Floyd fight.
That's about a month away. It's June 8th.
June 8th, yep. And obviously we'll cover that as it happens.
Yeah.
And whatnot. Curious to see what happened there. We talked about it last episode as well, though. We kind of did more of a preview there.
Right.
So this was more for the spectacle that we witnessed last weekend.
Oh, it was fun. It was certainly fun to watch like the mayhem go down.
Mayhem. Sports scene is like COVID. Since COVID, the whole sports scene, no matter what sport it is, I feel like has just been chaos.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Not just because of COVID, like the changes and whatnot, but just like in general, like the things that have happened are some of like the rarest things I feel like we've seen. Things that just never used to happen.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's because people, the age of like social media helps out where you can build your own brand, not just like the brand of like your team or you being a sports an athlete. Now you get to show who you are to your fans.
True.
And we get to have an understanding of like this is who I really am. Because you're not ever gonna get that from people on the court. Or whatever venue they're doing their stuff in.
Right. Yeah, true. That's a very good point you make there, Tyler.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
So anyways, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll keep up with the craziness of the world, the sports scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps it up for today.
It does. Next week we'll be back at it. We'll get you 1 week closer to playoffs, which can't wait for. Love the playoffs, and I think isn't there another fight coming up this weekend?
There's fights pretty much every weekend now.
I know, I feel like there's another big one this week. But hey, we'll get there when we get there. We'll get there when we get there.
When we get there.
One thing to look forward to this week, the NFL announces its schedule for 2021.
Yeah, we might have to do some look ahead, especially when it comes to those Monday night and Thursday night games.
Yeah, the prime times.
Yep, prime times.
Games we're looking forward to. It's going to be fun.
Yep. Maybe we'll have more Aaron Rodgers news. That would be interesting.
Yep.
We'll see what happens there.
All right.
That's it, folks.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining in. We appreciate you guys. Anything you want to tell us or, let us know how we're doing, hit us up at Herbie Sports Talk on Instagram, Twitter, a little bit of TikTok. Hit us up on the YouTube comments.
Yep.
Do what you do. But anyways, guys, we'll talk to you next week.
Peace out.